Hello everybody, and welcome to my Cambridge English Advanced listening paper video course. In this lesson we're going to be looking at the listening paper part 4. So let's have a look at the listening paper. How long does the listening paper last? It lasts for 40 minutes. How many parts are there in the listening paper? This paper has 4 different parts. And how many questions are there in total? There are 30 questions in the listening paper in total. And I say that you need to write your answer on the question paper, and then at the end you transfer your answers. So you have about 5 minutes, I think it is, to transfer your answers from the question paper to the answer sheet. And you need to write in capital letters, so in big letters, when you're transferring your answers. And I say there is an example answer sheet on page 74 of the Cambridge English Advanced Teacher's Handbook, which you can find if you type in this web address and go to page 74. The page numbers are at the bottom of the pages in this handbook. These are the different types of questions you will come across in the listening paper, and in this lesson we're going to be focusing on part 4, multiple matching. So you're going to learn the best tips and techniques as well as the best strategy, and you'll practice some examples for this part of the listening paper. So let's have a look in a bit more detail at part 4. How many questions are there in total for this part? There are 2 sets of 5 questions, so 10 questions in total. How many texts do you need to read? How many texts do you need to listen to, rather? You need to listen to 5 texts in total, and so you have 2 questions for each text. How many options can you choose from? 8 for each side. So you have 8 options for 5 questions and 8 options for another 5 questions. And how long do you have to read through the passage? You have 45 seconds to read through the sentences, the questions, before the listening begins. This is from the Cambridge English Advanced Teacher's Handbook. It says that this part tests the candidate's ability to identify the gist of a number of short texts on a theme. For example, by identifying main points, gist, attitude, and opinion. Okay, so here's my first tip. When you have the questions in front of you, you should underline the most important words. So we can practice this now. The example that you can see here on this slide has come from the audio files and PDF files that you can download from this website. And if you type this address into your web browser, you'll find an internet site that looks like this. And if you scroll down the page, you'll see a table, and in this table there's a part called listening, and if you click on sample paper and audio files, you can download this folder, and once the folder is downloaded, if you open it, you will see several files and MP3 audio tracks that look like this. And this one here is what we're going to open now, this PDF file. And once you've opened that, you'll see a document which looks like this. And if you scroll down, eventually you will come to part 4, which looks like this. And I've copied this into my presentation here. So, which words would you underline from A to H for task 1 and for task 2? Because there is 5 questions for task 1 and 5 questions for task 2. And what you need to do is to listen to speaker 1 and try to answer 1 question from task 1 and 1 question from task 2 from what this one speaker says. So you need to answer questions 21 and 26 for one speaker, speaker 1, and then 22 and 27 for speaker 2, etc. But before you even listen to the tracks, you have 70 seconds to read through, and so I advise you to underline the most important words. So pause this video now and underline those words, or think about which words you think are more important. If you can't print it off and you can't underline them, you can just think about which words are most important, and then press play, and I'll show you which words I underlined. Okay, so let's have a look at the words which I underlined. There we are. So in A, I underlined unfriendly and encouraged, and this is just helping me to focus on these parts of the sentences. It's easier to choose from A to H if I have these focus points, because remember, I only have to choose 5 of the options A to H, 1 for each speaker. So you could compare these with the words that you underlined or with the words that you thought, but these are the words which I think are really going to help me to focus on what I'm listening for. And you can pause this video if you want to have a read of it further, but I'm going to continue on to the next slide. So time for my next tip. Tip number 2. Learn the meanings of words related to emotions before the exam. So words like delighted, relieved, grateful, etc. These are all describing different types of emotions, and these are really important words to know for this part of the exam. So make sure you understand the meaning of these words. You should also write words and vocabulary related to the underlined words when you are in the exam. So after you've underlined the words before the task begins, you should think of some similar words to those that you've underlined and write them down next to it, because those could be the type of words that you might hear in the listening track. I advise you to do the left column first and then the right column after. If you want to expand your vocabulary or to revise the meanings of words related to emotions, then you can download this book from this web address if you type this web address into your internet browser. Okay, so by writing similar words to those that you've underlined, it should help you to locate the information you need and help you to remember the main ideas for each option A to H as well, which is useful. So, what I'd like you to do is to pause this video, and either in the separate PDF file or using what you can see here, I would like you to write down some similar words to those which I've underlined here from A to H. Just 1 or 2 similar words to those which I've underlined in A to H. And then we'll look at the words which I think are similar as well. So you can pause this video now, and when you're ready, press play. Okay, So a similar word to unfriendly is unpleasant. And that could be a word that you might hear in the recording. And if you hear speaker 2 talking about unpleasant colleagues, then you know, or unpleasant people at work, then you know that the answer for speaker 2 would probably be the letter A. Not much leave is the same as poor holiday entitlement. Don't know where going is the same as lacking a sense of purpose. Needing more of a challenge means it's easy or not difficult. So many jobs is another way to talk about the workload. Arguments and not seeing eye to eye, similar to disagreements. No glass ceiling or promotion is the same as in advancement. And buildings, chairs, space, etc. are all types of physical environment. If you had different answers, don't worry, because it's subjective. These are just the words that I think are similar. But make sure that you do this in the exam before the listening starts, because it will really help you, and you might even have the correct answer written down when the listening begins. You might have the same words as the ones you've written down, and that would be fantastic. Okay, tip number 3. The first time you listen, you should write every letter that you think might be correct next to the speaker. And here is an example below. For speaker 1, question 21, I wrote down A and E because the first time I listened, I thought it could be A, but it could also be E, so I wrote them both down. And I know that we get to listen twice, because in every part of this listening paper you get to listen twice. So I know that I can confirm this on my second listening. So the second time you listen, you should check and try to make a decision between A or E, or whichever options you have written next to the question. And if you've written 2 letters next to one question, for example, next to question 21, and you should check if you have also written the same letters next to another question. So for example, I've written A and E next to speaker 21, but I have also written E next to speaker 24. So, if you have A and D for question 21, and only E for question 24, the answer will probably be A for 21 and E for 24. It seems obvious, but this is a really useful technique that a lot of people forget to do. Just have a look and see if you have any of the same letters next to a different question. And then you can eliminate E from question 21. And that's it. So, for homework, you should use the tips and technique and the strategy I've taught you during this lesson to complete the listening sample paper 1, part 4, which we've also started in this lesson. And just to remind you, you can download the paper and the audio files from this web page here. If you type this into your web browser, scroll down the page until you find a table that looks like this with a listening section in it, and click on sample paper and audio files. Okay. I also advise you for homework to read the Cambridge English Advanced Teacher's Handbook. This handbook is full of really useful information about the exam, and you should definitely spend some time reading this. Also, if you would like to book live lessons with me to practice this part of the exam in more detail, or any other part of the exam, or to practice your English in general, you can book lessons with me. What you need to do is go to this web address here, complete the Google form, and then I will send you a message and we can start to organize lessons. Okay, thanks for watching this lesson, and in the next lesson I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do from now before your exam to prepare yourself in the best possible way. I'll also show you how to book your exam and where you can book it, and what level you need to have before doing the exam to feel confident in passing the exam.